Thank you. Thank you. Now, who has questions about supply or Ho'oponopono or anything? Yes, Anne.
Question. Hi guys, this is Anne. So my question is directly related to what was just said. So pouring, in what way am I not pouring? It resonates for me, and I get it about not pouring and coming to pour in the area of love, money, companionship. But can you shed some light how that works in relation to time? Because I have this sense of a lack of time to get things done. And it pulls into my script on, won't be able to have it. I'll always be inadequate to take care of things and have time to do it. But when I think of that says, well, if I'm not pouring, does that mean that I'm supposed to pack in more? Because there was so much foundational work about the schedule and finding out what is reasonable balance in time, plot my meetings, plot my spiritual work, and then whatever's left is the available time. So I'm confused how that applies to the idea of time.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying that everybody should pour more in all areas, all aspects of their life or any aspects of their life. I'm saying if you're not experiencing abundance in any area, that's the area in which you should look for how to pour more rather than how to get more. And if your life is just filled with love, you don't need to look for people to love. If your life is filled with companionship, you don't need to look for people to companion with. If your life is filled with money, you don't need to look for people to give money to or to ways to pour money, although you probably have lots of ways because that's probably why you have the money. And the comment about look for areas in which you're not pouring, I'm saying if your life doesn't feel like it's fulfilled or filled with abundance or something like that, if your life feels incomplete, then look for areas in which you're not pouring.
Because I go after that word of lack. It really feels like a lack of available time. So it feels like there's a lack and that something should pour. Are you saying then it should pour in all the other areas so that fulfillment is felt?
You feel like you lack time.
Yes. That it's a constant catch-up.
You work with your kid. That's not a pouring problem, that's a kid problem.
So many years on.
Unlike the rest of us, you don't have 24 hours.
I guess that's just the ongoing work with the kid, because that's been the work for quite a few years now.
It's ongoing work with the kid.
Okay.
If you look at all the stuff you have to do in your life at this moment, then you can put a priority on them, which is more important, and do that first. And then look at everything you have to do right now and see what the priorities are and do the one that has the priority first. And run your entire life that way.
I feel that's how I operate, so I guess I must be reading my own script.
Clearly you are, because if you're doing that, you're clearly doing as much as you can do.
Okay.
Aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I trust that completely in you. So you have a kid who thinks that's not enough.
Yes.
And that's worth investigating with the kid. Find out why she thinks that's not enough and correct that, because that will take a lot of... And it's not just fixing the kid, that will take a lot of behind-the-scenes pressure off of you to do more. And you can do what you're doing better and in a more relaxed and enjoyable way if you don't have that unseen pressure behind you. So that's a kid.
Thank you. That clarifies. Kid work, not supply work.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember years ago Adele talking about, she had it so bad that she would keep doing more and more and more and more until she was sick and crashed and went to bed sick. Again, she found out that what it was her kid felt like if she was sick, she didn't need to be out there doing more. So the kid would put her in bed. And the fact is that in some things, you know, I mean, there are areas in which I would have to spend 10 hours doing what you can do in 2. And so probably what I ought to do is get you to spend your 2 hours there, and I'll spend my time on something else, you know. And, but, you know, there's no comparison, you know, and do what's most important. And most important means towards yours and the world's spiritual growth. It doesn't mean towards material things, but do, yeah, just take a quick glance within and get a sense of what feels like it's the most important thing. What should I be spending my time on right now? And then do that. And that's, what more could you possibly do? And that'll let the kid off the hook too, because if she can't do more, you know.
That helps.
Good. Cool.
I'll share, Stacy.
Please.
This is actually just good news. After last weekend, I just focused on the treatments. And so I didn't go home to try to nag about money or anything. I just focused on like the treatments. And so I woke up and I went to the gym and I took care of myself. And then what I wanted happened. You know, and I re-listened to what our talk last week, and it's Patty shared something about that, like when she stepped back, then clients called, and it's like when I stepped away and just focused on the treatments and feeling the presence of God, my husband was like, I'm going to take care of this.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm doing well now. I tell you.
That's the whole point. When you're focused on the lack of something, you are materializing, you are realizing, you are making real the lack of that something.
Yeah.
And if you withdraw from it completely now and work on the presence of God, now the presence of God is here and the fulfillment happens. Yeah. Exactly.
And then like this morning, I kept dodging taking my cake, dodging it. And this morning I did it.
Good.
And it's so amazing because I really sincerely love so many people in that room that I get so much intense love back.
Yeah.
That it's just like the most love I could feel in an hour. It's just like the love, this like intense love in that morning meeting.
Yep.
And there's other people in there that are angry, and they sit there angry,
Yep.
and they don't put out love, and they don't get any love, and they're just like on the outskirts, these just like angry little things that nobody pays any attention to.
Yeah.
And then there's people in the middle, they're just all loved, and everyone feels it, and it was so powerful.
Yeah.
It was like being on ecstasy, you know, but you're totally sober, and it was just amazing.
That's what you're pouring. If you're putting out love, sharing gratitude, it's what you're putting out there is what's coming back. Yeah.
It was really cool. So I'm glad I'm here. It's just so true, like everything. And then re-listening to this helps, because I kind of totally missed what Patty said, and then when I heard it back, I was like, that is so it. When you step away. Just, So thank you.
What does it say in the Bible? When you think not, the bridegroom comes. Meaning the Spirit comes. When you think not, the Spirit comes. When I'm busy thinking, Spirit can't operate because I'm running the show. When I think not, when I stop thinking, then what needs to happen can happen. Spirit can act.
And I was just focusing on things that are lifters, like going to the gym is a lifter, and then I'm open to feeling like the presence of God throughout the day.
Yep, that's right, exactly. That's proof of the whole thing we've been talking about for the last 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah, because out of the blue he texted this, and it's not even like him to do that.
Yeah, sure. Well, it is, and now you let him.
Yeah.
Because you're not busy focusing on the fact that he's not doing this, he's free to do it suddenly.
Right, and want to hang out with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Perfect. That's exactly the point. Either I'm running the show or God's running the show. Which would I prefer? And I don't mean my individualization. I mean I as conditioned by Chubb. Either Chubb is running the show or God is running the show. Which would I prefer? And if I shut up if I have no idea about how things ought to look, if I'm just doing the one thing I know to do, which is getting quiet and listening for the still small voice, or listening for the presence, or doing something like that, then everything else takes care of itself. This is the whole point of the take no thought for tomorrow, what you shall eat or drink or be clothed with, you know? He said, seek the kingdom of God and all these things will be added unto you. And this is exactly what you're describing.
It's almost like I have like, you know, I guess it's alcoholism, but it's like this little thing that's in my head that says, don't go there. Don't go where like the love is. Don't go. Stay alone.
Mm-hmm.
Stay by yourself. And then it's like, the minute I just open up and I'm authentic and I talk, then everyone, all the spirits, it's not even the people, it's just everyone else's spirit is like...
Yeah. Well, you're very lovable, you know. You may be the only one that doesn't know that, you know.
No, because like my head, when I'm alone, I just like stay alone, and you don't want to go. Nobody wants you there anyway. It's just really...
That's a kid. Now work with that kid.
Like a teenager.
And work with her, and if she thinks nobody wants you there, that means she thinks you don't want her. And work with that kid, work with your teenager, and work with wanting her just exactly the way she is, and wanting her to be just exactly the way she is, but you know, not necessarily taking it out into the world and causing problems, but you know, the point is that she's okay right where she is with you, and you know. If you have a piece of you that thinks they don't want you, then that means there's a piece of you that thinks you don't want you. And that's your job, is to turn that around.
Yeah, like the share, I was so worried I shouldn't be where I am or whatever. And I was just like, this is just who I am. I'm just going to say what I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, all I got back from it was love. Because like, I was like, okay with this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't thinking about, I got to sound a certain way.
Right. Yeah, you weren't thinking about it. You were just being it. Right? And AA, on Hawkins' scale, AA is 540, which is very high. Love is at 500. 540 is unconditional love. And what you will find in the group consciousness is expression of unconditional love. I mean, that's why we get well, is because we love us just as we are.
Yeah, that's cool.
I remember somebody in the morning meeting once said, we take anybody. And my immediate response was, or none of us would be here. You know? Yeah, we take anybody. Exactly. Just the way you are.
Yeah. But it kind of affirmed it to my teenager.
Yeah.
You're fine. It's okay. Everyone's going to love you even if you are just who you are.
And you need to be telling her that you need to be telling that from yourself to her in your dialogue, that she's okay just the way she is. Good for her. She's just, you know, she is in fact just trying to take care of you, right?
Right.
Okay, how can you not love that?
Right. But
Sure.
it's not the right way. So,
No, but it was when she started adopting those methods 20 lifetimes ago. But no, she doesn't have the tools, but she sure has the right plan. She just wants to take care of you. She's just trying to survive. How can you not love that?
Yeah. Keep you alone. So obviously I must have been safe that way somehow.
Yeah. God knows what happened to us all.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. But it was a really cool week just focusing on.
Yeah. You should come around more often.
I know. Yeah, I will be.
Good. Okay, who else?
Hi, Lee. This is Anya.
Hey, Anya. Hi.
Hi, Lee. Good to be here. And this is one of my favorite topics. And one that you and I have been talking about for 24 years, I think. 23. Yeah. So really good to just be reminded of the truth of supply. And what comes to mind is of course what the 12th step in all of our meetings is all about, right? Is giving others to keep our own sobriety and whatever needs, right? But as I was listening, I realized, there are certain collective beliefs that I'm more susceptible to than others, and one of them is that I've always got to work harder, do more. I'm not getting enough done, and I've got to make more. So this is a belief that I just have a susceptibility to, and if I'm kind of not vigilant with it, I start believing that I'm not doing enough, and I've got to work harder. So I work a Debtors Anonymous program, and I also attend a weekly Workaholics Anonymous meeting. As I think it's, and I'm bringing this up because I'm curious about the spend more, and I think when you're saying that, you're saying spend more, but consciously, because I can get into spending more in a way that really doesn't serve me. So I'm curious what you might say about like a DA program, and then are those beliefs, dealing with them is also, I would imagine, kid work.
Yeah, well, first of all, I would assume that any 12-step program would be a very positive thing, because they're all based on the same principle of the 12 steps that AA is based on. So, of course, getting help from a support group that focuses on unconditional love is a great thing to do. The way I look at spending is when, if something is asked of me, okay, if somebody comes to me asking for something, when some reasonable person, some reasonable situation, somebody comes to me, or a homeless person, or anything like that, then I look at that as a call on God. And this is where the I can comes in, and I will certainly always respond to a homeless person or somebody like that comes to me and asks for some spare change. I would certainly always do that. If a thought comes up in me that I want or need something, and it's a thought that I completely generated by myself, not to meet a situation, but because wouldn't it be nice if I had, a 30-foot yacht, then I probably don't go there. I don't know how DA decides where to spend money and where not to, but if it's to please one of the kids, or to please personal sense, or to aggrandize or add to personal sense, or make me look good or anything like that, then I probably don't do it. But if it's something that's asked of me for, like if suddenly I needed to buy a new $700 telephone for this class because this conference call isn't working right or something like that, and I would just do that without a thought, because that's the sort of thing that I would expect supply to be there for. Once again, it's an intuitive thing, I just know whether it's one of my kids wanting something or whether it's something that should be met.
Yeah, thank you. And I because I'm in VA, and I just try to bring consciousness to spending. I think it feels in some ways like DA is a way of, I don't know how to say this. I feel it's a very spiritual program, and wasn't thinking that when I started DA 20 plus years ago, but I experience God often in the rooms of DA.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was just curious what you might have to say about it. Just wondering. And
if it's something that's
yeah.
that's feels like it's important to my fulfillment, then I probably just go ahead and do it. For instance, I'm one to talk about it. I go out every morning on the Strand and ride. I have a very nice tricycle, that I ride. It's a recumbent tricycle with a little power package on it and all sorts of stuff, and the fact is that the damn bike costs $7,000. and now, is that frivolous? No. It's not. That's part of my extended meditation. I finish my silent meditation here, and then I get up and get out on the trike, and I go down and roll down the hill and get some coffee, and then I go out and ride 15 miles on the Strand, looking at God and the people and practicing the presence I'm doing, and it's an extension of my meditation practice. I have no idea. The question of whether there'd be $7,000 or not never came up. It's just, that was never an issue. So, but if I wanted, a $7,000 suit, thinking it would make me look good, that would be ridiculous, and I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what DA does for me. Is it just no one ever taught me, like a lot of us, never taught me about money. It was all about trying to look or feel a certain way, fill a certain hole, because I didn't feel worthy. So maybe this new clothing or whatever it might be could fill that hole. So it's it's the same hole as alcoholism, and it just has this particular flavor to it. And DA helps me to shed the light of awareness and on that particular sensitivity. So it's.
And I think that's
I
wonderful.
love the program. Yeah.
And at some point, there is a higher consciousness than DA is about supply, and like at some point there's a higher consciousness than AA is about alcohol. But until we're completely free of that, the support of the DA consciousness and the AA consciousness is very welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I have gone in and out of the program for years. There are times when it's so intuitive that I don't need to go to DA, or I just, I don't need that kind of support. But I have a sensitivity to believing that there's not enough. And so there are times, like in the last year, where I've really needed that support. So I appreciate hearing what you have to. I'm just really happy to be reminded of the truth of supply.
I would suggest that there is a kid within you who had a very real experience of dying from not having enough.
Yeah.
And
I actually have multiple memories of dying in a gutter.
Okay, so there's that kid, and she's not completely risen in consciousness, and so she needs the help of the, then going to DA is like going to a practitioner, getting healed. She's getting healed there with the higher consciousness. She needs to be lifted out of that belief. And you do it by dialogue with her and teaching her truth, and and so does DA. I went to AA for every day for 35 or 40 years. And I knew that, that in a very real sense, nobody is an alcoholic and nobody is powerless over alcohol, and all that stuff is nonsense, but it's not nonsense to the physical, personal, material sense. So until you're free of it, you probably belong there. And all of a sudden, it was just very clear that I had no business being there anymore. I was there for 35 or 40 years, and probably the last 15 years I was there primarily to bring consciousness, and then there was a point where that was, I don't know, no longer felt like what I needed to do, and so then I stopped. And so now I usually go to AA on Thanksgiving and Christmas and my birthday and a few occasions like that, or give somebody a cake, but outside of that I don't go there because I don't need anything that, I don't need that level of consciousness anymore, and apparently I'm not being led to take my level of consciousness there. They don't need me anymore, so that's over with. But I didn't drop it, it dropped me, you know?
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that as well. That at some point, it'll be almost like an outgrowing of it.
Yep, But right now, if it feels good, do it.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Hi, it's Charlene here.
I'm sorry, who is it?
It's Charlene. Hi, everyone.
Charlene.
I guess, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's a little muffled.
Okay, I'll try and hold it closer then. I think this follows up with what Anya was just discussing, and I'm thinking the responsibility statement in AA, you know, when anyone, anywhere needs help, you want the hand of, to be there. And also, I guess, I'm from an era where you are, I was just brought up that you are a service. It was, whether it was missionary work or Scouts, Guides, be prepared. And some of that is the old, as you say, with the motives, checking the motives. Is that just to be pleasing people or whatever? But if it's in its pure sense, you just are there for other people, and also for yourself.
Yep.
A responsibility to be caring for yourself. And so I'm at the point where, do I really need to live where I'm living, with health-wise and needing help physically with things around the property, and so looking at possibilities of living in the town that's close to us. Neither my husband and I want to move or feel the urgency right now, and winter certainly has brought out some things the last 2 winters that at some point we're going to need to leave the property. So do we take it's taking responsibility to look and see what the options are, and taking responsibility to make the changes, and at the same time getting into that scarcity, lack of, I wonder if there's going to be a suitable place to us to move into. So part of it's that terminal mental energy going into forecasting and projecting. But I don't know clearly what the question is. It's just I know that there's part of the scale where you take responsibility for yourself and be proactive, and at the same time knowing intrinsically we'll be cared for. And not just to raise up our hand and say God will take care, but there's some sense of a responsibility, self-responsibility there.
Yeah,
and I don't.
That's the interesting question, because if I'm taking responsibility for it, I'm really blocking God. If I'm taking responsibility for it in any other way than getting God on the field so that God can move me where it wants to, then I'm in the way probably.
So I guess that's what I can feel the struggle is with doing it in a way that's, as you say, blocking the spirit.
Yeah.
And, and there is a sense of needing to be aware that to the acceptance that change needs to take place, or will probably need to take place.
Yeah. And you don't need to worry about it, because the way you're living right now is the reflection of your consciousness, of your level of consciousness, and unless your consciousness deteriorates, wherever you wind up with as a result of a move will be at least as good as the one you're at. And usually moving is the technique for clearing out the wreckage of the past and finding a new higher level. So there's no reason to fear a change of circumstances, because it's just circumstances, it's not a change in consciousness. So you guys will, wherever you wind up going, you'll wind up living at least as well as you are now. And but you don't want to take the bit in your own teeth and decide, well, I'm going to go here, because that may not be part of what a fulfilled you looks like in God's vision. So you have to be internal, but I take no responsibility at all for anything I do,
That's a good mantra.
I don't. My responsibility starts with and ends with having a long meditation session every morning. And I spend a lot of time every morning doing spiritual work. And with my $7,000 bicycle, that now is extended by 3 hours, because I'm out there in God's world in the sun, and I can work on whatever mantra I need to work on, like recognizing everybody, no matter what I see, reminding myself that that's God and stuff like that. So my responsibility is doing as much spiritual work as I can, and it currently looks like attempting to extend that so that I'm always doing some level of spiritual work, and that's my responsibility, and that's the end of my responsibility. And anything that needs to be done will show up in front of me, and anything that needs to be dropped will disappear or will be taken away from me. I don't need to worry about that kind of thing.
Okay.
And with no fear, because I live in a very nice place, and this is my level of consciousness, and if I get rid of this for some reason, the next one will be at least as nice. Maybe entirely different, but at least as nice.
That's helpful to put it into the everyday incidents, in those situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I can do. The more time I can spend aware of the presence of God, well, think about it. The more time I can spend aware of the presence of God, the more time God has to do whatever it wants to do, right?
Right, yes.
End of story. What God wants to do is fulfill itself as me, so we don't need to worry about what God wants to do. So my job is to give God every opportunity as much as I can, which is quite limited, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
And this is what Joel means by, going to meditation only to realize the presence of God. Let God worry about when it's time to move to the next town. It'll be clear.
Okay, that's helpful, Joel. To Lee, thank you.
My pleasure, yeah. But don't stick your head in the sand, keep aware of what's going on around you, don't hide from it, don't deny anything, see what's going on, be aware of it, and be...
Well, I think that's what happened, is there's only, we're in a very small town, and enough property came up, and I thought, well, is this the time that I need to pay attention
see what happens. And but if God's on the field and you're supposed to have that piece of property, it'll happen. And if God is, and if you're not, it won't happen. You know, I mean, it's just God is, you know, omni-activity is about God fulfilling itself as you, and a fulfilled God is pretty magnificent. So there's nothing to worry about except blocking omni-activity. All that's trying to happen in the whole entire universe, your entire universe, is God is trying to express itself completely in all its glory. So that's a good thing. And we just need to get out of the way.
Well, thanks, Lee.
Yeah,
thanks, everyone.
Thank you. That's a good question. Good topic. Not even a question, but a good topic. This is the sort of thing that, you know, now we're talking about living by the principles. You know, what are the principles and how does that apply here? And that's exactly what I want to talk about in this class. So that's perfect.
I'll share.
Yeah, please.
It's Cynthia. Let's see. Very good to hear about supply. And you mentioned about Ho'oponopono too. And I have gone back and listened to that class. I wasn't here last week. I actually went to Matt Kahn's 5-day thing in Portland. I don't know if he still calls it soul convergence anymore, but he's not partnering with Julie anymore. So I almost talked myself out of not going because, interestingly enough, you said about what your example was with the tricycle about is it part of your fulfillment, then you were willing to spend the money. And that it made sense to you. And I came close because, you know, it is a lot, it seems like a lot to... it seems like a lot to spend on going to the class between the two, you know, class fee and, you know, all the other accommodations and stuff. But I decided to go, and I also was a little like, okay, how it seems like it's changed. He's not, you know, it's a new, you know, it's a new. He's changed. He's not partnered with Jewel anymore. How's that going to be? And he's also published by Hay House, which is a, you know, he's on a different track now, you know, so I didn't know if the consciousness had changed, and as far as who's there and that kind of thing, but it felt different than the time before, but it was also really, I don't even think I realized how much until I got back. Like, it was pretty amazing as far as, like, I could see, and it was a lot about, really about kind of kid work stuff, even though he wasn't talking about that. He just got married, so there was a lot of that. But he mentioned Ho'oponopono, and that's why one of the things that I was going to mention, he mentioned and he said one of the reasons why that Ho'oponopono work is so powerful and, you know, successful, and he was talking a lot about forgiveness, and how that heals us. And so, for whatever that's worth, he did mention that. He mentioned, you know, so some of his work seems to be intertwined with that. And I felt like there's a lot of clearing that happened. And I think even about supply, you know, and bringing it back to what we're talking about here, there was some talk about that. And I've also been tuning into DA recently, just coming off the whole thing with my house. Not that I, you know, I'm not... but just wanting to hear some different, you know, they have some business owners meetings and some, you know, accountability stuff, and just so I don't go down that same path again. And I guess it has to do with where my consciousness is as I'm hearing this. But what I just thought about when you shared that about, if you know, what you were talking about on the last call, and that with you, like if you do have to move, that you'll end up, and you kept telling me that when I was in the move, and I was thinking about how I did end up a couple streets down in a house that I like more. I don't own it anymore, but I you know, have an opportunity that I could buy it if that were to present it, if I was able to somehow, if that I guess is supposed to happen. And I could see, and I just thought about that, wow, and a lot of people have said, this is even nicer than your other house, you know, and so I thought about, wow, maybe my level of consciousness is a lot higher than I think in terms of supply. Because I eventually,
Sounds
walking
like it.
away with money from the house. I didn't lose the house. I was able to get a house a couple streets down that I like more, that's more, feels the vibe there, the peacefulness, everything feels more in line with where I'm at. And maybe that other house didn't just support me where I was at consciousness-wise anymore, I guess.
Exactly.
So even though I fought it and struggled, and I guess it goes back to, is it is God running the show or me? And I had to finally surrender to that, you know? So I'm really, I want to stay in that surrendered place. But there's fear there, so it must, you mentioned to other people about this, a kid, or I think Anya, especially when I heard you talking about DA, and then there's a kid there that has a belief in not having enough, I guess.
Yep.
Or lack, because that was one of the reasons I started tuning into the DA, because I noticed there was some fear coming up about money again. Oh, well, I don't want to spend it, but then also spending where it feels like overspending. So trying to find that, and I know all this about supply. I've heard that. I listened to that tape you were talking about this week, and I heard Joel saying that. I was like, oh, and I remember playing it back about the shadow, and so I'm listening, and I'm, I've heard a lot about supply, and I've definitely experienced that, and was like, oh, and I do go back to when I'm feeling like one of the things I practice, and I don't know, it feels a little rogue, but like I've been feeling like the flow isn't coming in as far as, with my business or money, and I always look at, it'll take me a while to run on that fear or feel like, what's happening here, and try to go out and do something about it. But then I usually do eventually get back to, well, what am I giving? Have I made my donations? Have I poured out? Have I, what have I poured? Am I giving my service? Am I giving my time? So I do go to that, but I haven't been residing there enough. But I noticed...
None of us are.
Oh, yeah, right?
No, really, none of us are residing in that enough.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's because the pressure of the human, what are we talking about? What do you call it, something? But basically human consciousness, what's being radiated, isn't one of supply.
No, it's one to take care of yourself at any length.
Right. So I'm either tuned into that, or I'm tuned into God consciousness, depending on how I start my day and how much I'm keeping that consciousness of truth operating. And what was I going to say? I know you had told me before that go out and give and I did a lot of this when I was moving, and I think that really shifted energy. Go out and clear, give the clothes you have in the closet, or give. And I did a big purge.
Yeah.
When I moved, and I really felt like there's just been that shift. I gave a lot of stuff away and got rid of a lot of stuff. So
there you are.
That's kind of where I've been at with supply. But it's good. Sometimes I don't think I don't see until I hear that and go, okay, maybe I'm not as bad as I think. Because I always think like, my thinking is distorted. I always think that I'm not doing it at all, and so.
Look around you. See where you're living.
Right.
You were in a beautiful house. So there's your statement of your consciousness. So, and now you discover you're in a nicer place. Always. This house is nicer than my previous one. Always a step upwards, because you're just describing exactly what's going to happen. We clear out old stuff, get rid of a bunch of junk, simplify your life, and everything's clearer. Now there's more room to move around in every way, both spiritually as well as materially. That's the whole point. You guys are just all making my point.
And that's one of the things, actually, Matt has talked about that, is the supply thing about clearing, giving, and he brought that up before too, which is a common thing, I guess. And I feel like now that I've gotten rid of a lot, I actually feel like there's more to get rid of. Like I could do another round of just how much I don't need so much stuff. But I have a kid, because it was literally like when I've been throwing stuff away, I was feeling sick. It was really hard. I would be so exhausted by the end of the day, or even when I got into the new house and I had to do more because I brought a bunch of stuff I didn't need and didn't have room for. It literally was like, it was very draining, and I the times feel like, it was difficult. not to do in the moment, but it wasn't easy. I had to have somebody there by my side to kind of make sure I did it. Otherwise, I would go off and just forget it. And I feel like there's more to happen. What was I going to say? Oh, one thing I noticed too is I have to be careful of who I listen to about their consciousness taking mine down, because my premise with my thought process with getting this house that I had, or my consciousness at that time, is I'd rather get a little bit bigger place and rent out a room or two so I could have the home that I want, and also have somebody there when I travel. So I thought, oh, that won't be a problem to get that, and immediately I found somebody for one of them who's a pilot, never there, paid the full amount, which was a lot more than I had charged before. And then I talked to my accountant about what I did, and I told him, this is the house I got, this is how much I'm paying in rent, and I'm going to rent out. I rented one room, I'm going to rent another, and he kind of gave me his opinion, which was a very logical accountant opinion, which was, why did you do that? You could have took a place in Gardena for $2,000 a month and and saved money, and I'm just worried about you, that you're not going to be at the level that you were before, and that you're not earning this amount, and that's more responsibility. And you can't always find tenants or roommates, and I like things that I never even thought of.
Good.
Right?
That's why you're where you are, and he's where he probably lives in Gardena.
But it made an impact. I went out of there feeling so defeated.
Yep.
My kid let it enter, and then after that, because I had been turning people down for the second room because I wanted the right person, and I turned down several people because I was like, I don't want this, I don't want that. And then after that, I started feeling desperate, like, oh gosh, maybe I should take someone. And after that, I just last week finally found somebody after 2 months. And I think that it was part of that, like I thought that belief entered, and then all of a sudden, instead of having the abundance, the consciousness of, oh, it's easy. So I have to be really careful of what I...
Yeah. I got two things when you were saying that. One was... going to DA is getting support in dealing with the kid. And the reason we go to DA or AA or anything like that is we need support in not letting the kid that fears lack or needs alcohol drive the school bus. So as much as anything, until we have enough spiritual adult in gear that we're always in charge, we need somebody to help us keep the kid from driving the school bus. And that certainly is a very valid function for DA and AA to help you find ways to not let that kid take the reins. And that's a very important thing, I mean, just don't drink today was a great tool for keeping the kid from drinking today, from keeping it from driving the school bus. The kid really wants to drive the school bus, and you say tomorrow, not today, and it was a tool. So that's a very important and very valid function of something like AA or DA or any of the other programs. And the other thing I remembered is that many years ago, decades ago, when I was going to India, I needed money to go to India. I was moving to India, to be with Rashneesh, Rashneesh at the time, and so I sold everything I had, to get enough cash to go there. And I got down to like 12 boxes of, like paper boxes, like Xerox boxes. I got down to the stuff I couldn't get rid of was down to 12 boxes. And I had a friend with a garage, and we put a 4x8 piece of plywood up on the rafters of the garage and put those boxes up on the rafters, and I went to India, And I was over there for 6 months, and then I was up at the Rajneeshpuram up in Ohio for a year or so, and then I was at the commune in Santa Monica, and I was all over the place, And I absolutely, totally forgot about the stuff that was up on those sheets of plywood, the stuff that I could not live without, that I could not sell. It was way too important to sell. I absolutely forgot about it, which was just a wonderful lesson. finally, somebody needed a set of knives for something or other. And knives, oh, and that one of the things I couldn't get rid of was I had a really good set of chef's knives. And I thought about it, it clicked something, and I suddenly remembered those boxes of stuff up there, ridiculous what was in them, but, one was a set of chef's knives, which I grabbed it down, it was for one of the 12-step houses, Serenity House or something like that, so I pulled the knives down and gave them to him, but it was such a huge change in me in 12 years, and all this stuff which I could not get rid of, because I needed the money, but I couldn't get rid of this stuff, and totally forgot about it for 2 years. So, nonsense. What do I need right now? Oh, I've got that. How are you doing right now? Yeah, please.
So, this is Joanne. I thank you for doing a class on supply. I've been working this new business for the last 16 months or so. And I've been studying prosperity consciousness, which is all about supply. And one of the really interesting things I hear from people a lot that I talk to, they say constantly, I can't afford that. I can't afford that.
That's
and
true.
they also,
that's true if they say so.
Right. And they also say, I don't have time for that. I don't have time. I don't have time.
Making that true.
Right. And so, something that came to me in a training like a year ago was, raise your hand if you never want to say for the rest of your life, I can't afford that. You know what I mean? And it's amazing how that seems to wake something up in people, because it's almost as like people can't even conceive of what that would be like. And I feel like it's been like a growing part of my consciousness. And in this book I've been reading, Prosperity Consciousness, he basically, they're rewiring the subconscious, which is the same thing as working with your kid. Because the subconscious rules you, which is the same thing as your kid. It's the deep underlying belief system that runs your life. And so I've been getting similar teaching, but in different language. And I guess what I've been noticing lately is there's definitely been a bunch of situations lately where I have stopped blaming, and I have stopped complaining, and I have stopped, kind of like the True Happiness video that Matt did about, if you think your current condition is being caused by anything that's going on outside of you, stop.
Yep, absolutely.
Stop, because it's not, and so, yeah, that's what I've been noticing is, which for me means there's more adulting gear. And the kid still arises,
Yep.
Fearful thoughts arise, scared things arise. But rather than, I've been able to pause. I've been able to pause and go within and work with myself. Rather than trying to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's been profound. And I just feel grateful. In this moment, I think I told you, I went and saw Wayne, and I said, you think after 27 years that this, I'd be more further along, right? And he goes, yeah, it's kind of like you're like a spiritual retard. And I'm like, yeah, And it's like, as long as that judgment is there and that thing is there, it's like, that's the false sense of self. I should be further along. The whatever that I is. So I've been catching that, and I've been seeing it.
Perfect.
And right here, right now in this moment, I have so much to be grateful for, and this practice of self-love and forgiveness, and it's absolutely, it's unfolding. And actually, if I look at the evidence of the adulting year that's here today, I'm amazed.
Yeah.
I'm amazed.
Yeah.
And what that's meaning for supply. So, and I'm excited to demonstrate it more and more so that those who get drawn to that, can see it in action. Because it's a big deal.
We'll find little ways
Right.
to demonstrate.
Yeah. 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 Well, I'm amazed. I'm making more money than I've ever made before, and I'm not working harder, and I go to yoga 6 days a week, and I'm meditating every day, and I have time for anything I want to do,
Yep.
which feels amazing.
So there you are.
Yeah,
There you are. That's all you need to know.
yeah. And I'm totally showing up for my kids.
And if a demand is made of you, it's a demand being made of God. Look at it and meet it.
Yeah.
I can, I have.
I can, I am, I have, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's all pretty wonderful, really. Well, it's about time. Let's sit for a minute. If you have any questions, feel free to email them to me. There's a link on the home page now. Or call me. Feel free to call me or whatever. We didn't talk to as many people as usual today, but I'm available. I can. All right, thanks very much, and I love you all, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Lee.
You bet.